made them a deal. He would undo the deaths of the fallen Foundation members and give them the power to destroy the Fair.
No fucking way, bro! Is this why they have anomaly powers?
Just then.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And today we got another episode for you guys. We got another one. I think this is going to be special because this is SCP-001. Yes, I said it, 001, another 001. And this is one that was talked about briefly in a recent reaction. If you guys remember the Naughty Stalker, where they were made, the Stalker themselves, so the actual voodoo doll, was from the factory. And this is the SCP that we're diving deep in today. SCP-001 The Factory. So I hope you guys are excited for this one. Man, you guys have been telling me to check out other SCP-001s because I believe there's around over 10 of them. So yeah, let me broaden my horizons and dive deep into SCP-001 The Factory. So if you guys are excited for this reaction, please remember to smash that like button. It will mean the world. It takes less than a second, especially if you do enjoy the reaction. And also, it's free. You can't beat it, man. And also remember, smash the sub button as well too. Join the family. Hop on the train because we keep on pushing. We keep on chugging. All gas, no brakes, full throttle. You already know the vibe. Hop in and have a blast with us, man. It's going to be great. And also remember, on the ride, turn on post notifications. Don't miss a drop, man. I'm telling you, YouTube be dropping the ball sometimes. It doesn't let you know when I'm posting heat. So if you want to stay plugged, you know what to do. Smash that bell. With that being said, shout out to ODDity for bringing this animation for us to react to today. Original link will be in the description below. So without any further ado, let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-001, The Factory. Let's get it, guys.
Nothing in the SCP Foundation archive is more secretive than SCP-001. The files are buried beneath so many layers of security and encryption, you'd need to be an X-05 council member to gain access to them.
We covered them recently.
Because whatever SCP-001 actually is, holds the secret to the SCP Foundation's creation. Because this issue is so controversial, SCP-001 is a designation given to over 30 different anomalies, each which hold a reasonable claim to being the reason the Foundation exists today.
Oh, so they're touching base on all the other SCP-001s. So supposedly all of them have claim for the creation of the actual Foundation themselves. I wonder which ones are false and true.
But one proposal among this list is more secretive than the rest. So secretive, in fact, that it was never even officially submitted into the filing system. It exists only as a story told directly by 051, one of the 13 members of the legendary 05 Council. What follows is an approximation of that story.
Wait, hold up. Let me rewind this.
Is Dr. Jack exists only as a story told directly by 051, one of the 13 members of the legendary 05 Council.
And that's supposed to be the strongest one. It was the old head that was in the reaction that we covered with the 05 Council, going in depth about them. But you guys were telling me that they're not actually old, they're actually young because they drink from the Fountain of Youth, 006, that SCP. But this is kind of high. The strongest 05 Council member. Wow. Let's hear that one more time.
It's only as a story told directly by 051, one of the 13 members of the legendary 05 Council.
Legendary.
What follows is an approximation of that story. This is Dr. Jack Bright's proposal, also known as the Factory.
Jack Bright? His proposal? What do you mean, his proposal? Oh my god, let's just see.
The Factory was a facility created by a wealthy industrialist named James Anderson in 1835.
Wow.
The building, which soon became known as the Anderson Factory, was a thing of industrial beauty for the time.
Back in the day.
A mile wide at its longest point, and 3 stories high, accommodating thousands of workers. Anderson himself resided in a special 7-story tower next to the building's gate, so he could oversee the factory's operations at all times. Okay. Anderson hoped for his new facility to dominate the American manufacturing industry, producing everything from weapons to food to toys to textiles.
He thought
it would be the ultimate factory, where workers could live their entire lives.
Bro, that could have been cool if we saw the Naughty Stalker going through, guys. Like, yo, oh my god, on the conveyor belt and shit.
Tiles. It would be the ultimate factory, where workers could live their entire lives on site. They would be born here, work here, live here, and eventually die here. Like
who would want to do that?
Drones inside an immense hive. The problem if you couldn't already tell from the living conditions he enforced,
Yeah.
was that James Anderson was a sociopathic monster, and he was believed to be a worshiper of Satan, along with several
Makes
other
sense.
pagan deities, and he turned the entire factory into a kind of demonic nightmare. Everything was arranged according to occult geometry, and the ground was covered in arcane symbols that could only be seen when blood was running across the ground. And given the horrific things that happened inside the factory, this was often the case. In his private journals, Anderson indicated that he thought of his workers as less than human.
Okay, honestly, I would already figure that without him even telling me this. If he's trying to make them be born on the factory, work on the factory until they're actually dead, like, he wouldn't care about what you would want. Like, he's just using you as a figure piece. Like, I'm just being straight up. Like, you guys are pawns. You guys should have already saw that coming.
And many that died in the manufacturing process had their parts harvested for meat production
Not
to
surprised.
feed the others. But since Anderson was very
To feed the others? Okay, that got me. They got me there. Wow, that's some foul shit. And I wondered, did the workers know what they were eating? Damn. Talk about recycling.
died
Oh my
in the
God.
manufacturing process had their parts harvested for meat production to feed the others.
Damn.
But since Anderson was very good at keeping all this under wraps, new workers still flocked to his factory in droves. Factory workers were forced into 16-hour workdays by the facility's sadistic security force.
Why the hell would they flock in droves? Like, what's the point of going there? What is the incentive here? Are they getting paid well? Because I doubt they ain't getting fed well. We know that much. Damn well they ain't getting paid well. No, there got to be something going on. Why are they still flocking in droves? Even if they're hiding the fact that they're, eating other human meat and they're living on a facility where, like, it doesn't even make sense to me. It literally doesn't make sense to me. What's the benefit here? What's the benefit of doing all this? Living on the factory until you're dead. Okay, these people seem really, really stupid, man.
They were packed into shared rooms like cattle to sleep in shifts, so that the factory never shut down and the work could always continue.
What?
Anyone too injured or weak to work was dragged off and murdered by security out of sight of the others. But the products were popular, and the factory didn't just endure, but thrived, all the way through the Civil War and beyond. However, one day a worker managed to escape that horrible place and finally began to tell her story to the outside world.
Okay, it makes sense that now that she escaped and we can see, like, what's kind of transpiring. It seems like that this dude that's controlling the factory is probably promoting something that's not within the factory. He's probably saying, like, oh, you get X amount of pay. You're probably not going to be working forever on the factory. He's probably telling them, like, oh, yeah, you get, like, the best hours, best shifts. And when they get there, it's over. They cut all the ties they had with, like, the outside world and they combine them within this factory. That would make more sense compared to them just coming, knowing what the factory is about, and then acting all goofy when, shit hits the fan. So let's just keep it going.
These whispers made their way to President Grant in 1875, and he was outraged.
Uh-oh.
He enlisted the help
Grant,
of an
what you
elite
gonna
group of
do?
Union soldiers from the Civil War, a group that specialized in taking on and taking down the supernatural. And among
SBC?
this group were 13 exceptional people who'd one day go on to become the
The
SCP Foundation's 05 Council, with a man who would later become known as 051 at the lead.
Bro! Yo, rewind. Whoa!
Of an elite group of
This was
Union
heavy
soldiers presenting
shit.
Her story to the outside world. These whispers made their way to President Grant in 1875, and he was outraged. He enlisted the help of an elite group of Union soldiers from the Civil War. A group that specialized in taking on and taking down the supernatural.
So people from the Civil War is the OG ones that created this foundation, or were like the first ones in the foundation. Military personnel, bro. Because I'm assuming taking down supernatural is, the SBC Foundation. Before it was that. And it was being led.
Among this group were 13 exceptional people who'd one day go on to become the SCP Foundation's 05 Council.
Damn.
With a man who would later become known as 051 at the lead.
051.
The soldiers stormed the factory during the night and were met with a truly horrifying sight. Workers were diseased, starved, tortured, and neglected, living under conditions that would be considered too cruel even for livestock.
Oh my God.
The soldiers, enraged by what they saw, engaged with and slaughtered the security team. Little did they know,
Okay.
their greatest threats were yet to come.
Let's see.
Whatever dark deals Anderson was making behind the scenes, they were
Is that
paying
the
off.
devil?
Because they allowed him to find another use for some of the workers who couldn't work.
Zombies?
Through experiments that were half-twisted science and half-dark magic, he had turned his workers into horrific monsters, precursors to the kinds of anomalies the Foundation would battle in the decades that followed. They lost many good soldiers fighting the abominations in Anderson's factory.
What? So some of these people are actual SCPs that I possibly covered already in the past? And they're regular humans. He made a deal with the devil and... Whoa. Whoa. Hold up. I need this. This is way more than I expected. I wasn't expecting all this information. I expected something like this in the O5 Council reaction.
Through experiments that were half-twisted science and half-dark magic, he had turned his workers into horrific monsters, precursors to the kinds of anomalies the Foundation would battle in the decades that followed. They lost many good soldiers fighting the abominations in Anderson's factory, but when they finally reached him, they made him pay for his crimes against humanity. Oh my god, dude.
Anderson is
was
over.
given one of the most gruesome forms of execution possible.
Let's see.
The soldiers hanged, drew, and quartered him before throwing away his dismembered remains. After Anderson's death, the soldiers spent a week trying to clean the place out.
They didn't fuck around with
freed
Anderson.
any surviving prisoners and began cataloging the objects hidden within the factory.
SCPs.
The entire place was still full of deadly traps and monsters.
Shit, bro.
They lost even more men during the cleanup effort. But in spite of all this, they managed to find something incredible. The factory was producing paranormal items of great power. They found toy weapons that were more powerful than real ones.
Holy shit.
Skeletal horses that could run much faster than normal ones and would never tire. Cloaks made of pure darkness that could transport the wearer into a realm of shadows. The soldiers found they were sitting on a gold mine of tools and weapons like no other.
Oh my god.
And suddenly, they felt a sense of great duty wash over them. They knew now that there were monsters out there, and only they had the knowledge and tools to fight them.
That is
They
crazy.
would utilize the factory that had brought humanity so much pain and turn it into a tool to defend the human race. The upper echelons of the soldiers formed what would be the original O5 Council.
Holy shit.
And began building around the factory. Lower-ranking soldiers were designated as field operatives, and as time went on, they would expand their ranks further with men of science.
Oh my god, this is insane! This is... Okay, wow. Okay, I did not know the factory was like so much a part of the beginning of the SCP Foundation. Way more than the Scarlet King or like any other SCP-001s I covered. Guys, this is crazy. My bad if I'm geeking too much, but bro, this is a lot. I'm so excited.
The organization that would later become the mighty SCP Foundation had finally taken root. It would work outside the purview of the government, with President Grant being told that the factory had been destroyed. Instead, it had now become known as Site Alpha, the very first Foundation facility.
The first one.
They developed many of the organizational principles that would later define the Foundation as a whole, even down to developing a rudimentary D-class, known as the Disposables.
Are you kidding me? The Disposables.
The Proto-Foundation began gathering secrets, particularly secrets that the world's most powerful people didn't want coming to light.
Oh my god.
They managed to build an empire out of blackmail, forcing the rich and influential to bankroll their early endeavors into the supernatural.
Good.
Things were
going
well.
It's protecting you guys anyway.
Even better than they probably had hoped. Until the year 1911, when things took a horrific turn. A new enemy to the Foundation had revealed themselves. A race of powerful entities that these early Foundation members took to calling the Fairies, due to their nature as tricksters and their sensitivity to iron. But don't let the name fool you. These were some of the most devastating creatures the Foundation ever faced, as these fledgling soldiers were about to find out.
What kind of
They
SCPs
sent
are
a team
them?
of their best men after the Fairies. And the next time they saw these men, their severed heads were mounted on poles, attached to the beasts that the Fairies ride. The creatures were ready to retaliate and led a brutal attack on Site Alpha.
Another battle!
An attack so bad that it left 051 psychologically scarred to this day.
They scarred a councilman? They're dropping way too much. ODDity, you gotta chill, bro. You really gotta chill. We know you're new to the game, but bro, you can't be coming in with this much heat, man.
By 051's own shameful admission, The fairies destroyed them in battle that day. Their superior strength, technology, supernatural powers,
Who are
and
these
numbers
fairies?
allowed them to rampage through Site Alpha and slaughter anyone in their path. They even killed 12 of the 13 O5 Council members, with O51 being the only survivor.
He's the one that's
He
insane.
fled further into the factory, trying to escape the fairy hordes pursuing him. It seemed like there was no way to
Oh
get
my
out
God.
of this death trap.
They're obliterating
Until he happened
them.
upon a golden door covered in strange symbols. He opened the door and found himself inside what appeared to be a different dimension, filled with a deep red light.
Anderson!
Pulsed like a giant heartbeat. In this strange place, he heard the voice of Anderson inside his mind, radiating out from his dismembered body parts that were floating in the ether. It seemed that the monster wasn't quite as dead as they'd first thought.
Oh my
Anderson
God.
told O51 that every time they used an object created in the factory, they were making the factory stronger. However, if the fairies took over the factory, they would destroy it and make the items useless.
Who are these
Anderson,
fairies?
on behalf of the factory, made them a deal. He would undo the deaths of the fallen Foundation members and give them the power to destroy the fairies.
No fucking way, bro! Is this why they have anomaly powers? Is this why they were talking about in the O5 Council reaction I made? Literally the other day ago. They were talking about how the Council have some versions of powers that SBCs have. And we didn't know how because they were still considered human, but not anomalies at the same time. Is this how they got the power? Bro. I don't want this to be over. I really don't want this to be over. Oh my God.
If O51
Hold
pledged
up.
a deal, he would undo the deaths of the fallen Foundation members and give them the power to destroy the fairies. If O51 pledged their allegiance to the factory, seeing no other choice, O51 took the deal. The slaughter at Site Alpha was undone, and O51 began a campaign of terror against the fairies as an act of revenge for what happened.
Yo.
They murdered every single fairy, entirely eliminating the species and wiping out all record of their existence.
Oh my
Even when the
God.
other members of the O5 Council tried to talk him out of it, O51 was insistent on leaving none alive.
He ain't having it! He ain't having it, bro! Okay, this guy's the man, bro. Oh my God. 051, he's seen some shit.
In the following century, the SCP Foundation flourished. It expanded itself worldwide, gaining vastly more personnel and modern technology to assist in its new mission of capturing anomalies rather than massacring them. The Foundation abandoned the factory, though, going back on his deal with Anderson. 051 personally had the place buried under rubble to ensure that it would never be discovered again.
But wouldn't that mess up the deal that you made with him? I don't know. We shall see.
But what is buried is not always forgotten. To this day, a number of other anomalies have had connections to the factory, especially Dr. Wondertainment, a sinister toy company producing dangerous and anomalous
I heard about him.
playthings.
Haven't covered him yet,
The
though.
influence of the factory
Might do it
looms
soon.
like a shadow over the Foundation's activities.
Damn.
And as always, every time one of its objects is used, it gets stronger. Will it remain buried under that rubble forever? Even 051 doesn't seem to think so. That factory is a place of pure dark energy,
Oh my God.
beyond human understanding. But one thing about it is easy to comprehend. It isn't happy that the Foundation and the O5 Council broke their deal with it.
Yeah.
And perhaps someday soon, it'll come back and collect what it's owed.
Oh my God. Bro, that was heat. That was heat, man. This is probably my favorite SCP of 001 by far. By far. Oh my God. And this seems like the one that's literally the true 001. From just the history we got from it, how much it tied with the SCP Foundation, the O5. This was perfect. This is everything I would want. Just to make things a lot more clear for me right after I made the reaction of the O5 Council. Because it left so many things like leaving a question mark in my head. God, they hit this on the nail. Oh, this was perfect. This was perfect. I hope you guys felt the same. I enjoyed this a lot. So if you guys did, please remember to smash that like button. I'll get this out as fast as possible for you guys. And then remember to turn on post notifications and sub to the channel if you want more content like this. I'm telling you guys, this will be the best place if you enjoyed this reaction and you made it all the way to the end. You gotta do it, bro. Like, there's no cap. Like, just do it. So with that all out the way, I hope you guys all have a phenomenal day. And unfortunately, that concludes today's episode. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
With